Hey, my name is Jobby, and we're looking at the BingoToys BT04 Spider Lady. And this is a third-party version of the character BLACKARACHNIA from Beast Wars, which frustratingly lost 6-0's Twitter poll. The West has fallen. Billions must terrorize. And billions should check out PlayAsia.com, the sponsor of this video. If you're watching my channel, chances are you have no life. You like figures imported from Asia. Well, you're in luck, because PlayAsia.com has an extensive collection of toys and figures. Aren't those the same thing? Such as these Bishoujo Transformers statues that you keep harassing me about. They even sell imported video games. You could also get free shipping on orders over $99. Under 2,000 grams or 4.4 pounds. And to save even more on your purchase, use my code JOBBY5 to get 5% off your order. This code doesn't work with cash equivalent cards like PSN or eShop cards. So head on over to PlayAsia.com and start chinging your chong today. For any of you more astute viewers, you may notice that this is by the same company that did that Windblade figure that I took a look at 100 years ago. That Windblade figure didn't quite wow me. There were some aspects that were wow-worthy. As for this figure, check that one off. She doesn't have a face. Reminds me of how I last saw my ex-wife. With the lack of a face and separately packaged spider legs, as well as a separate spider booty, some assembly is required. Which, even without looking at the non-existent instructions, is pretty easy to figure out. Spider legs plug into these back ports, and plenty of face options as well. In 2 different flavors, no less. A pale complexion that makes her look like the typical fembot white woman spotted, and my personal favorite, Ching-Chong, which in combination with this tiara domino mask thing, is a clear reference to how she looked in the original Beast Wars series. As someone who grew up with the show, this takes me back to my first set of impure thoughts. The first of many. And on that topic, you can cover up her dumpy, literally put in her ass. And for bonus nostalgia points, I'd recommend twisting these spider leg ball joints so that they're faced forward. And be careful. I really hope this figure doesn't frick it up with the transformation, because so far, the painting and the sculpting on this figure is amazing. Incredible reinterpretation of that original Beast Wars design with some elements of the often overlooked Beast Machines design. Not saying it was overlooked for no reason, kind of ass. And appropriately enough for the character, she's a bit spicy, but tastefully so. Doesn't look like she was designed by a hormonal teenager.
Liking women again, I see. What are you? Some kind of beta, soylent cuckold incel?
Wow, you've really changed.
Oh God, I'm so alone.
What a year it has been. And with all the removable bits here, you're able to play around with the design a little bit. Personally, I like the spider legs where they're at, but there are peg holes on the shoulders, and even the spider legs themselves, which you could mess around with. And while that is closer to the original design, but with the spider legs being on the arms instead of the back, the obvious way looks better. This is such a radical redesign that show accuracy does not matter here. It also minimizes parts forming. In addition to these Ghibli bits, you get quite a few more accessories. You get a handful of hands, and they're all connected by a ball joint. You get a pair of open hands, fists, grabby hands, which allow her to hold these included daggers, hinge joint, and swivel at the dagger, strangely enough. Beautifully painted, and she could also hold this included gun. It seems that everything here is precisely painted and sculpted. As you could probably imagine, all her weapons can be stored in any of the peg holes that we talked about, and then some. Every hole's a goal. And her final pair of hands is heart hands. Lovely. And I guess they can double as cupping hands. When are we getting a sexy Silverbolt figure with his nuts hanging out? And on the topic of funny sex lol, you get an alternate face that I struggle to make any excuse for. Come on, man. How you gonna give us this and no double peace signs? If you're gonna goon, do it properly. You also get a yelling face, which also looks suggestive, but that's only because I tossed my meds, and a smiling face. And yes, you do get all these faces in white woman flavor. Didn't even paint the tongue. Come on. The tongue. Stop it, stop it, stop. And her final accessory, a stand, which you get 2 stand arms for. The base can disassemble if you'd like. Stand arm plugs into any of these holes. Very tight fit and very thin peg. And this tabs into any of these slots, so you can adjust the position of the stand. And this could plug in literally anywhere. Although I'd recommend this peg hole underneath the spider butt. There's also one in her back. Any way you get her onto the stand isn't enough to justify its existence. None of the stand arms are long enough to support aerial poses, and the figure can stand up fine on her own, probably thanks to these die-cast metal heels. There's a few parts of die-cast metal that you don't even have to feel for. You can tell. The non-metal parts also feel sturdy, plastic quality is fantastic here, and every joint is nice and tight, but not overly so, which makes this thing an absolute joy to pose. It'll be a pleasure to get my hands on. Ball joint at the head and the base of the neck. Every ball joint can be a swivel, looks up that far, and looks down that far. And there's even ball joints at these face legs. Make her look like the Predator. A butterfly joint, wrong bug. Rotation at the shoulder, and if you hinge joint the spider legs out the way, they can rotate a full 360. Every spider leg is also on a swivel. Hinge joint, ball joint. But careful with twisting these ball joints, they're kind of tight. As tight as they're hinge joint here, by the way, and a hinge joint here to keep it clean. I mean, technically this part does plug into the butt, but that eliminates the main hinge joint, and I don't know, I like my spider twerk. Hinge joint at the shoulder pad, arm moves out, bicep swivel, double bend at the elbow, ball joint at the wrist, every ball joint, and a hinge joint at the shit, which can kind of double as a weapon. Transmetal 2 reference, maybe? Ball joint at the chest and swivel at the waist, which allows for a great range of articulation, and every ball joint can swivel. This whole part can extend, allowing you to really work a double hinge joint for some great posing options. She can really work that thing. Oh, that arch is insane.
I might kill some.
Side skirts are on ball joints. Swivel here. Little loose, watch out. She's got a beautiful spread. The thigh can extend. Get a peek at some more die-cast metal. And right at the thigh swivel, there's another hinge joint. Worked out with the rotation at the leg. And she could cross her legs really easily. My queen. The legs can do a full 360 rotation, by the way. Double bend at the knee. Even got a Gundam style shifting part there. Hinge joint at the knee pad. Shit. Hinge joint at the ankle, which you can swivel, to get a crazy ankle pivot going. Posability on this figure is incredible. This is the type of flexibility I want from a sexy fembot. Why couldn't nice be this nice? No tolerance issues as well. One of the few times on a third-party figure that I don't feel the need to bring out the white stuff.
I'll give her another type of white stuff.
I need my meds. Size comparison time. That's a tall drink of Energon. Here's Figma-matic Economy. My previous reviews, the Haya Toys Godzilla and Mothra from King of the Monsters, Magic Square Light of Peace, and the BingoToys Wind Girl. What a crazy glow up from their previous release. Dare I say she'd be a masterpiece even if she didn't transform. But she do. All right, let's get into it.
Long ago in a distant...
You remember that thing I said about preventing parts forming? I lied. And there was a hole between the legs, not that one,
Take your meds.
that you could shove and plug the gun into. And the spider mode is, I wouldn't go so far as to call it amazing, but it's really cool. They nailed the overall silhouette of a spider, and it does a decent job at masking the fact that this is just a folded up lady. The butt is really doing all the heavy lifting here when it comes to making this mode look cohesive. Definitely feels cohesive thanks to all those tabs and pegs and And really the only things that are breaking the spider illusion are the folded up high heels and I mean, her name is BLACKARACHNIA. I honestly don't know what they would do here. Maybe some push-in baps. I do appreciate that she actually has eyes, though. And to further sell this as a spider head, she's even got an opening mouth. Other parts of articulation is just that the legs, which we've already covered. The two front legs are just the robot mode arms without hands. And the head articulation should be pretty obvious. At the bottom here, first of all, minimal kibble, besides the legs. There's a hole right here that you could plug the stand into. The stand makes more sense in this mode since she's lifted off the ground. But without it, she can stand perfectly fine on her own. Thank Primus for that. It would have been so easy for these spider legs to just be wet noodles. Takara! But the joints are solid enough to keep her body off the ground. Size comparison time? If I saw a real spider this big, I'd kill myself. Here's Madoka, Godzilla, Prime, and BingoToys Wingirl. This figure is a step up in all departments. Despite the spider mode being flawed, it's not bad at all. This figure is far from bad. Actually, links in the description if you want one. Shoutouts to Shozy Store for giving it to me for free, but I would totally buy it at this price. God damn, this spider making me act up. Big shout out to all my patrons and members. The names of you deluxe class members and double kiss patrons should be scrolling in a bit. As for all of you highest paying members and patrons, here's all your shout outs. Starting with my leader class members: Roblox Moblox, Phoenix Logie, Saber Redfin, Nathalia, Dim Sum Garbage, Melania Blade of Makela, Boxhead, SSJ Broly 2001, Ayrton Chitwood, Neon Reddit, a person named June, Joseph Leroy, Mr. Porsche, Scarlet Scout 259, Dan, Cagnaros, Anime Gods of Gaming, Mothman, Astro Beast 057, Cam After Dark, Squardzilla, Toy Scourge TV, Kotaku, John Birchfield, Breakaway TA, Luxana, Jonas RT, Kamen Rider KFP, and Zelda Gamer LD401. And for you triple kiss patrons, Mike, Mr. Jackzo, Kieran Herlihy, Mast, Abe Sapien, Fate, Boney's Network, Austin Sabatino, Flowing Games 101, Tiger Boy, Smithy Killer, Morris Voices, Gorgangus, Josh and Samuel's Elevators, Cam After Dark, Dim Sum Garbage, Phoenix Logie, Genius Jedi, Proxy Fox, Luxana, Need More Time 11, That Meth Addict, Sausage Fiesta, Scarlet Scout, Artist 101, Harry McStrange, Alex Hewitt, Josh Montemayor, Nathalia Munoz, Daniel Morris, Crew Sissy the, Keen Rodman, Chris Jan, Jawan, Striker 374, Mingyi Caesar, Mr. Jenkins, Weed Horse Theo, and Michael McLaughlin. Thank you all again for keeping the lights on, and I'll see all of you guys, non-members included, in next week's Fail Box. Use my hashtag on Twitter to be featured on stream, and I'll see you next month for our next round of toy reviews, and at TFCon.